Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show, where we go across country and travel the world with members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Let's go. Welcome, everyone. You know, every second Tuesday here on the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association show, take a deep breath. That is such a long title. We call them IFWTWA. Yeah. Every second Tuesday, we get to go and hang out in a different destination. And today we're going to explore Steuben County in upstate New York. And Dave DeGolyer is back on the show. He joins us every year. And last year was actually the conference for IFWTWA up in his neck of the woods. And they had an awesome time. This year, the conference is in Lafayette, Louisiana, two completely opposite parts of the country, right? So
yeah, quite different, yeah. but both a good time, you know.
Yeah,
they'll have a great time in Lafayette for sure.
Well, beautiful. I heard that people had a really good time, you know, at Steuben and going all around your area, drinking Finger Lakes wine and all kinds of good stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
we hope they enjoyed it. We had a great time having them here, and you know, hopefully they had fun.
Well,
it sounds like fun. And museums, and also wine and food. So it was a lot of fun.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, yes.
And art.
And
glass.
Yeah.
History.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that you were so close to Lucille Ball's hometown either.
Yeah, just a couple hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, so you have like a whole road trip area for,
like
I think this year we're going to see more road trippers than ever.
I do too. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you know, and people are going to be exploring, you know, use the phrase your own backyard, but I mean, places that are in proximity to them, taking those road trips instead of maybe along, you know, exorbitant vacations, they might take 2 or 3 road trips during the year and stuff. So I think that's very going to be, you know, very relevant for us.
That's great. And because there's so much to experience in your area. And today, I mean, we've talked, we've always done like, you know, a little bit of everything about what your region offers. But today we're going to focus on nature and the outdoors. And listen, we're just in time because, you know, Memorial Day is coming up. Memorial Day kicks off summer. Well, unofficial, right? So we still have another month of spring, but June is National Outdoors Month. And I was thinking, oh, we got to do this. You have waterfalls. It's just a beautiful part of the country. And you know, it's really, let's get outside into nature. And I see that trend growing as well as, you know, you know, things change in our park systems, you know, our national park systems, but really people are going to still, hey, let's go out, let's go chase waterfalls while we can. I don't know if it is the same for you right now. We're in North Carolina. We've been all over in the spring, but when the greenery starts to fluff out like it is here, you get this little giddiness. Are you guys giddy? Have you got the green giddies, the giddy uppies?
You call it whatever you want.
That's a good name, though.
We have quite a bit of exuberance for springing. You know, the lushness is starting to come. Everything's really getting, as you said, green. You know, and it just looks beautiful. So it's really kind of peps up the spirit a little bit, and really get excited about it.
That's cool. So waterfalls, they're ready for people?
Well, yeah, the waterfalls themselves are ready, but the parks, I mean, most of them, you know, you mentioned Memorial, is it Memorial Day? I was mixed up. Memorial Day, yeah, coming up. That's kind of usually the barometer as far as when most of those parks open. Sometimes they'll open in mid-May. It really depends on the weather. So like we've had a couple days of rain here. So, you know, it depends on that because they have to go in and kind of make sure all the slate, and because those are all, you know, carved out by over time through these caverns. So they kind of make sure the slate is safe, and, you know, the passageways are clear, and that any kind of debris or trees that have fallen or stuff are out of the way. And so everything is safe for people. So usually they've been doing that since March, you know, going in and cleaning stuff out. So usually by mid-May to the end of May, that's when they become completely open, the gorge trails and all the really scenic, you know, aspects of the parks. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good for everyone to know. So like now is the time, y'all. Start planning, start going.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. In the next couple of weeks, they'll all be opening up for the whole season for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah, because you got to think you guys get a lot of snow, which makes all that, you know, gorgeous greenery. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say, if you can come in, like, check ahead if you're coming in May, just to make sure they are open. But between the middle of May to the middle of June is a great time to come because it's a much less traffic.
Oh,
On the weekends in the summer, July and August, they get pretty busy. So, if you really want that experience, the picture behind you, you only see a couple people walking in the park. I was in the park that day, and there were a few dozen people in a mile and a half stretch
nice.
of park. So it's pretty open. At the end of September and especially in between May and mid June, it's really a lot easier to get through there without too many other people. And then
Mm,
coming on the, weekdays is also a good, everybody
yeah.
wants to come on the weekend, but if you come during the week, you can see the same experiences that everybody else does, but with less people there, in the way. So,
I love that about, people working remotely now. It's kind of
yeah,
changed that thing where the weekends are not always like the big weekend.
right.
It's changed for school kids, right? Sorry guys, but you know.
Yeah,
But summer is summer. So
yeah,
getting out there and hitting the trail is something I think really people crave it. Once they get out there, they really realize like put the screen down and unless you're
yeah,
doing an iNaturalist app or eBird or something, you know,
yeah,
but it's really nice to get out and get that fresh air, feel the sunshine, and
yep.
just it just brings us all back, and it's a great thing for families, right? So, do you get a lot of families that come out to your area?
Yeah, and I mean, it is a great opportunity for families to kind of do things together, camping and picnicking and
Mm,
exploring nature. And, when you go through those parks and also the, hiking trails, the Finger Lakes Trail is almost 1,000 miles, that a lot of people don't know about, but
wow, no,
and
no.
that so it's wilderness footpaths. It's through the woods, most of it, and there's blazed trails. Great opportunity to get out in the woods. You see some wildlife. Sometimes you see like wild turkeys or maybe even a fox or deer. Those types of things. Porcupines, lots of different things.
Really?
So it's really an opportunity to
Cool.
see. Yeah, depends on where you're at and the time.
Oh,
Yeah, and
cool.
a lot of them are watching you. So
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
yeah,
We're the zoo. We're the
yeah,
the you
that's
know the inmates. But
yeah,
the other thing too, when you bring up this 1,000 mile trail, the Finger Lakes Trail, like we
yeah,
think about Pacific Crest Trail, Appalachian Trail, the Continental Divide Trail. There's
right,
the American Discovery Trail, but I did not know about this trail. So it's a
yeah,
1,000 miles. Do people in the summer go, okay, I'm going to do this, you know, like as an
yeah.
epic through hike, like go
Through
through
hike,
the whole
yeah.
thing?
Some people do, yeah. I'm not aware of, I'm not that much of an avid hiker that I'm aware of all the people who do, but I know some people who have
Yeah.
done the through hike, and as a matter of fact, a few years ago, one young lady did the whole through hike, and it was a wet June, and I want to say it was 2019 or something. She spent like 2 weeks in the wilderness in the rain, but the other rest of
Oh,
it was great. But I mean, she did the whole thing. Yeah, it was great. The nice thing is it's about 950 miles when you include all the branch trails. It connects to the I want to say it's the North Country National Scenic Trail, that goes all the way up
okay.
to like the Dakotas, and then um, it also connects to the Great Eastern Trail, which goes all the way down to the Alabama border. So I
Wow.
mean, it connects. You could spend months out on those trails walking from one to the next one. Um, but the nice thing is there are several branch trails. So like in Hammondsport, there are two in that area that are about, if you wanted to do a one loop, it's maybe a couple hours. So you could just go out and spend a couple hours doing a hike and then get back off the trail and go do other things like go to the wineries or go to the Keuka Lake or
I
that
think
sort of thing.
anytime you
So
do a hike, you get to
yeah,
be rewarded with wine,
craft
maybe
beer.
ice
Yep.
cream,
Ice
hamburgers.
cream.
Apparently,
Yep.
hamburgers are good too.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some great hamburgers. They're voting right now on the best hamburgers in New York State, and two of the places are in Corning. So I mean, it's pretty fun.
Really?
Yeah, it's fun. Yep. Great pizza, great ice cream, great burgers, and also other stuff. So yeah.
Okay, so you said pizza. This is important. We're recording our pizza party show
Oh, cool.
because, well, May 16th is National Pizza Party Day. This is a very important day to celebrate pizza. It's
Yeah. I
like
thought
it's
all
its
days were
own
good
food
days.
group. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those hiking, so a friend of mine takes people up to up El Capitan and stuff like that in
Mm.
Yosemite. And it's like, ditch the trail mix. He goes, if you need to take trail mix, take it. But you need to bring your favorite food. Like if it's a piece of pizza from last night or something, bring it up. And by the way, people, pizza will last on the trail. You
Yeah,
can
for
do it,
sure. Right.
so
Yeah.
if so I want to know, where would you go, like, for the best pizza for a pizza party, and then you're going to take that piece, you're going to take a leftover, right, knowing
Okay.
that you're going to go somewhere epic in
Right.
Steuben County. And everyone go to exploresteuben.com, and it's in the link in the episode notes. Steuben is Steuben. It's because it's stupendous, as we always say, right?
Yep.
But where would you go for pizza, and where are you going to take this beautiful pizza leftover? Because the leftovers are always the better pieces anyway.
Yeah. If I have any left over, I don't often have
Yeah.
that, but if I do, you know,
Get the extra large
yeah,
for Dave.
that's right. Well, there are two pizza places in Corning, and if you talk to anybody in Corning, they're going to be arguing back and forth about which one's the best one. One of them is called Anilo's, and the other one's called Atlas Pizza. And Anilo's has the thin crust, just really tender and flavorful. And then Atlas is a wood-fired pizza, so it's or
Oh, yeah.
it's a thicker crust. So I'm probably not supposed to give you my opinions on this, but I would probably grab an Anilo's pizza for myself to indulge in. But if I knew I was going to take something on the next day, I'd probably get the little heavier duty pizza from Atlas. Have a slice or two
Look at
wrapped
this
in foil.
balanced answer. This is well balanced on the
Thank you.
spot.
Yeah, put the pressure on me. But there are other great spots, and then I would, to be honest, I'd probably go to Watkins Glen, which is not in Steuben County, but it's 30 minutes away. 19 waterfalls, breathtaking. Or the one
Oh,
behind you, Stony Brook. Actually, there's a great brewery out in Hornell that makes wood-fired pizzas, which is like 20 minutes from that park here behind you. So that would be my other choice. Yeah.
so this is really important about the outdoors, beer, pizza. This is,
I
well,
think I have some research I have to do. I'm gonna have to try this out and test it.
I like this. This is going to be a whole way of doing things. I like
Yeah.
this. Well, it's true. And because we're talking about hiking and waterfalls, right? Cycling, I know, is a really big deal in your area
Yeah.
too. And then you really get to have pizza after that.
You've earned it for sure. Yeah, I mean, so we have mountain biking, there's a trail that's kind of hidden. Like even a lot of the locals don't know it's there. It's on a hill overlooking the valley. It's called Mossy Bank Park, and but there's a beautiful mountain bike trail in there. They have a race every August called the Hills on Fire enduro cross country race. But it's just mountain bikers can go in there. You can also just take a walk on the trail through the woods. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's 5 minutes from downtown Bath, which is about 15 minutes from Hammondsport and Keuka Lake. And so that's a lot of fun. And then, there's a Keuka Gravel Classic, which is a popular event that brings people from all
Hmm.
over the country um, to the Hammondsport area to do cycling on the gravel roads. So kind of those backcountry roads, some of those farm roads with the lake as a backdrop, you're going by vineyards and wineries, and it's just a
Oh.
absolutely fun time. But if you don't want to actually come and race, you can still come and ride those roads. And there's a group at Steuben Brewing Company, which kind of puts it puts
Here we
on this
go.
race. Well, they put on the race. They host a race, but they have their own group of cyclists. So if people come to the area and they're cyclists, they can connect with the folks at Steuben Brewing, and they often take them on, kind of trail rides and on rides in the gravel roads. So they kind of get the best of both things. They get to come and have some craft beverages, and oftentimes Steuben has live music and food trucks on the weekends, and then they do these rides as well. So that's a lot of fun for people who don't want to necessarily race, but they want to kind of experience that scenic
Mm.
beauty on two wheels.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a really cool way of doing it. So we like this whole balance of nature, you get your workout done, and then, naughtiness
Yeah,
later,
you reward yourself for the hard work, right?
Yes. And it's
Yeah.
and it's craft beer. It's like, it's local. There's
Yeah.
local wines as well.
Yep.
The other thing, so you got cycling. What about mountain biking? Does anybody
Yeah.
do that out there?
Yeah, mountain biking, as I said, Mossy Bank
Yeah.
Park. Yeah, that one is a great spot for for mountain biking. They have a local cycling group called Steuben Strong has been blazing trails in several different parks in the area. There's Erwin Wildlife Management and then Mossy Bank are the two that are probably the most well done at the moment. And Mossy Bank, like I said, there's the trails are right through the woods. And it's they're absolutely just a beautiful, scenic, tranquil kind of ride. But you're going to get a workout in too because some of it's on the hill, and there's various courses. But and then there are several other places for mountain biking in the area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's something I'm not going to do because I'll just wipe
I
out.
I
You
like
know, I've filmed people doing it and then
yeah.
realized that's not for me, but it definitely is for a whole bunch of people. This is one of the fastest growing sports in the
Yeah.
country, I think,
Yeah,
you know.
cycling itself is, I mean, I think that goes back to your comment about people wanting to be outdoors, and
Hmm.
obviously you can cover more ground when you're cycling. It's easier on some of the joints than running and, that sort of thing, unless, except mountain biking might not be, but um, when I ride, it's dangerous. It doesn't matter if it's on the regular road or, just
I need
in
to
my
stay.
driveway or,
I need to do my 2 feet on the ground because, that's that's not the cycling thing. They'll just think I've had too many beers at Steuben Brewing before I
right.
started cycling.
Yeah,
And maybe I would do that just for an excuse. Just,
sure.
they say
It's
it's
probably
just like
better
getting
to do
back on
that.
a bike.
Yeah.
When people say that to me, I look at them, I'm like, do you have any clue what you're saying? This is a
You've never seen
dangerous
me on a
thing.
bike, right?
Yeah, you haven't seen that, and I don't think
Right.
anybody wants to, but it would be funny. But I now one thing that I do like to do is kayak, and I'm not that
Mm.
great at that either. I need a
Yeah,
guide most of the time, but like kayaking, paddling, boating,
yeah.
what's that like in your area?
It's great. I mean, I will say that's one thing I've enjoyed doing myself. Keuka Lake, I will start with that. Keuka
Mm.
is the only finger lake that's not shaped like a finger. It's actually shaped like a peace sign or a Y, right?
Oh, we
So
like that.
yeah,
All right.
it's absolutely beautiful. But the nice thing is it's most of the time it's pretty calm, So it's great for like paddleboarding and it's great for kayaking. Been on there a few times kayaking. The water's very clear, so you can see the bottom a lot of the time.
Oh, wow.
When you're not far from shore and stuff. But it's very peaceful. It's big enough that you can paddle on it and not have to worry about getting run down. Uh, you know, but it's also small enough that you can go out and spend an hour or so paddling and get back and not have to worry about having somebody come rescue you. But the other thing is there's Chemung River, which you can take the Chemung River right from Corning all the way down to Elmira, which is about 15 or 16 miles away in a car. And it's a couple hour paddle on the kayak.
Mm,
But it's absolutely beautiful. You go through the valley, you go through the trees. You're not even, you feel like you're away from civilization. I've
mm.
done it a few times. There are bald eagles nesting there on the river. There's great blue heron. There's just a lot of really beautiful wildlife. There are a few parts in the river where it's shallow enough that you'll have to kind of scoop or drag your canoe about 20 yards or 30 yards, but for the most part it's paddleable and
Mm.
it's really a lot of fun. So I mean you want to
Relax.
I mean if you can get a local guide to take you, it's probably best, just unless you're an avid kayaker,
No, I need the guide. I want the guide.
just for safety reasons, they kind
Hmm.
of have a better idea. We have one guide locally, Ranger Outfitters, it's called, but in Corning, that does hiking, a lot of hiking guided hikes, but also does some paddling and stuff if people want. Um,
That's cool.
but yeah, that's really nice. And then there are several smaller lakes, like there's two lakes that are kind of in between Schuyler and Steuben County, so they're really kind of next to each, and the lakes are actually connected by a little inlet, and they're called Juanita and Lamoka, so they're great not only for kayaking, but they're great for fishing.
Mm,
So like one of my coworkers loves to go fishing and he'll go in his kayak and fish for an afternoon. If not taking a, fishing boat, they'll just go kayak and fish.
mm.
But those are smaller lakes. So, they're pretty accessible to anybody. And they're not, excessively traveled, as far as a lot of boating and stuff like that. So you can,
Okay.
you can still get out there and feel safe.
So there's, paddling, there's boating, there's fishing.
Yep.
So waterfalls to hang
yeah.
out in and just go picnic on the waterfront. That's also,
Yep.
Do you have any restaurants that are out on the water, like that you can, or
Yeah.
wineries or
Yep.
anything where there's water, like views that you can
Yes.
enjoy?
So,
That's the other part of being outdoors is
yeah.
eating and drinking in a
Yeah.
beautiful spot, right? Not
Right.
just like
And I
with the
mean,
pizza, but
some of the wineries have really kind of thrived the last several years, in part because they do have outdoor, scenic outdoor spaces. So I mean, they're historically one of the important wineries in the region. It's one of the most eclectic ones is Bully Hill Vineyards. Um, and they have a great restaurant that you can actually sit outside, like on a patio, kind of overlooking the lake, so you can see Keuka Lake. So you get the best of that. Both you get it's a very fun. It's a place that's founded on the motto of wine with laughter. So it's all about having a good time. The food is fabulous and the views are great. But Dr. Frank's, which is really one of the premier wineries in the whole northeastern United States, as far as its impact on the history of wine and also just the quality of wine they make, that has a beautiful outdoor seating. So like in the summertime, you can actually do tastings outside with the lake, or you can just get a glass and sit on the deck and just to take it in. They've got a garden in the back with all these beautiful flowers. You can just sit outside and have a glass of wine and chat and hang out. And
nice.
then New York State's Winery of the Year in 2022 and last year, 2024, is Vice Vineyards. And they've got some beautiful outdoor space. And then there's another winery just up the road from them called Living Roots, which probably has the most iconic view right now because it's right at the southern end of the lake. You look up the whole, lake, you can see the
Ooh,
views with the vineyard, and they're actually, a local winery from Rochester area originally, and also the Adelaide Hills in Australia. So they're a bicontinental winery, and they're doing a lot of great stuff. So those places in particular, but there's other ones that have great views and great wine. Um, Point of the Bluff Vineyards, they have a concert venue, a pavilion, so you can stay outdoors and listen to some great music. So they've had
nice.
everybody from America, back in my generation,
Yeah,
America,
yeah. We
and
like,
the Indigo Girls and the Bacon
wow.
brothers are coming. Kevin Bacon and his brother
Oh,
are going to be
cool.
there.
He's fun. I
Yeah,
follow him on
yeah,
Instagram because him and his wife are always playing with goats and do music with goats. And who doesn't want that?
yeah.
Music with goats.
They're going to
Do you
be
have
there
goats
pretty
in
soon.
Steuben County?
We
This
do.
is
We
an
have lots of
important
goats.
question.
We have lots of goats in Steuben County. And we have goat yoga, so I think we talked about that once before, but yeah.
Yeah, goat yoga is popular, man.
Yeah.
Come on, who doesn't want to hang with goats?
Yeah. We've got a bison ranch. I keep trying to convince them that we need to do bison yoga, but nobody's taken me up on it yet.
Somehow
So
it's just not going to happen, is it?
I don't think
It's like,
so.
you will do downward dog, and I'm going to stomp on you until you do it.
It's a one-time event, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a one-time event. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, but I love hearing all these different ways of experiencing the outdoors, whether it's wine or
Yeah.
taking your pizza to a waterfall, kayaking, paddling, fishing, hiking. Okay, so there's all of those kinds of things. Cycling. Okay, so
Cycling. Yep.
there's a lot to do. But then what about the actual for birders and wildlife people? Because I know a lot of our listeners, like me, we want to have that in-depth experience. And it seems like you also have, like nature centers and
Yeah.
places that people can go and even learn about like
Mm.
the different ecosystems. That's the thing we like to do when we go to a new place is try and learn a little bit before you hit the trail so you get what you're seeing or hearing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are a few places that, so there are two places that are just 5 minutes from downtown Corning. One of them is called Spencer Crest Nature Center, and the other one's called the Houghton Land Preserve. And both of those places are just scenic spots up on the hill, where you can go take a stroll through the woods or and through a field, and you'll often see different kinds of birds there, different kind of wildlife. The As far as what specific kind of birds, I don't really know. I don't
Mhm.
have the list, but I do know there's also a place called Birdseye Hollow, which is it's a forest. It's a state forest, And I'm just going to cheat here because I did have a list of things that they have, like wild,
Mhm.
you'll see wild turkey, ruffed grouse, pheasants, woodcock,
Pheasants?
yep,
Really?
waterfowl, different kind of, yep, and rabbits, of course, are plentiful in the area. Deer, of course, are very plentiful in the area. So you might see them as well.
Mm,
And then there
that's
are other,
cool.
there's a local farm. It's called Bluebird Trail Farm. So it's part of the agritourism, Finger Lakes Farm Country here. And
Mm.
they have bird houses, bluebird houses, special ones set
Oh,
up all along. So it's like a path you can walk along and see some of the bluebirds. And they have peacocks and ducks and all sorts of things. So there's another way you can enjoy the outdoors and engage with animals is some of the farm experiences here.
mm.
Places like Bluebird Trail. There are alpaca farms and there's
Oh.
places where you can cuddle with goats and cuddle with cows and cuddle with also still not bison though, but I'm working on it.
Well, the other thing too, bird watching it,
Mm.
for a lot of birders, what we all do is go and we follow lists like on eBird
Yeah.
and iNaturalist or Seek, the app.
Yeah.
And we kind of geek out on all of that. And Merlin's another good app to do that. And so we're always like, oh, there's my life bird, and people will travel just for one bird. And I
Right.
get it. It's cool, to be able to do that. So you've got all that, but what about the actual overnight experience? Like you're talking about
Mhm.
farms. Do
Sure.
you have farm stays? Do you have
Yep.
campgrounds, RV, cabins,
Yep.
glamping, any of that?
Yeah, we have most of that. So we have several campgrounds, and they range from primitive, tent stays to RVs to like lodges, that sort of thing.
Oh,
Some of
cool.
the farms do have farm stays. So like there's another great way to experience the country and the outdoors is this Mountain Rose Farm, which is a horseback. You can go for a horseback ride in the country, and you often will see deer, wildflowers,
That's cool.
birds there. But you can stay. They have two rental properties there. They also are part of Harvest Host. So if you have an RV,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can hook up there. Um, their mascot is a goat. This friendly goat that's just amazing.
This
He
is the
follows you
goat
around.
show.
Goat. Oh my God. His name is Lucas. He needs his own Instagram. We keep telling
Oh my
him
gosh.
he's just got such personality. He's so cool. And but that's just a fun place to visit. People can go for a horseback ride. You can learn about horseback riding in addition to doing a
Mm,
trail ride, or you can just stay there. It's 10 minutes from downtown Hammondsport. So with while all the food, the wineries, the shops and stuff are, so it's far enough out that just 10 minutes out, but you're totally in the country. It's so quiet and
nice.
peaceful. Yeah, it's a great place. And then
Mm.
I mentioned the goat yoga place has a couple cabins. So if you want a little more rustic feel, you can stay in a cabin right there. You can even learn a little bit about farming, and she makes goat milk soap. So you can learn a little bit about that,
We can clean
so
ourselves up.
you can clean yourself up. Yeah. I'm sure some
Goat
of them will
style.
put you to, if you want to do chores, you can do that. Button's Creekside is it's a B&B, but it's a sheep farm. It's a working sheep farm. It's also
Oh,
a bed and
wow.
breakfast. Yeah. So, it's something that you can go and learn a little bit about farming, but also, stay in. And again, some people like that, just want to be out in the country and experience what it's like to live in the country. And that's a great way to do it.
I love that. And people don't get to see where everything comes from,
Right.
so, and especially
Yeah.
for kids to be able to experience that is fun, for
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
families to go
For
out
sure.
and really get it. That's super cool. So, so camping is there. I bet you there's hip camps out there too, hip camping. And
Yeah.
that's, like you were saying, you can go primitive, you've got the
Yep.
parks as well. So all
Yep.
those kinds of experiences. What about you two? You were talking about flowers. Don't you have like a rose garden that people can go to, and some flower gardens or like botanical gardens kind of thing that people can experience?
The Finger Lakes does. I mean, so beyond Steuben
Okay.
County, but yeah, I mean, Sonnenberg Gardens is an absolutely beautiful place. Probably about an hour and a half from here, an hour. So you can come here
Okay.
and stay here and go up and do these road trips too. That's the other thing we like to tell people. You
Yeah.
can you can stay in Hammondsport, for example. It's a town of about 700 people, so it's small. It's that small town Americana like you'd see in a Hallmark movie or something. But you can go half an hour away is Watkins Glen in the state park. You can take a sailplane, you can go on a sailboat on the lake there. You can take a, a historic boat. You can get on a historic boat on Keuka Lake and take a boat tour, a narrated tour. You can zip up about an hour from there. It's probably Sonnenberg Gardens, so you can go and visit the gardens. It's absolutely beautiful. You can go to Elmira where Mark Twain is buried. I think we mentioned that before, so you could visit Mark Twain if you're a history person, or even take a sailplane ride. That's, Chemung County, which is
That's another
20,
outdoor
20
thing.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes from Corning, but it's a very unique experience. You're not going to do that in too many places, but you can go up in a motorless plane. Basically, it's towed out, and then you just soar. You kind of float around and come down. It's built for that. They're sailplanes or gliders, they're called, and that's a lot of people, when after they've done it, they're just like that's a bucket list thing that they've done that they never would have dreamed of doing. So it's pretty
You
cool.
can be a bird. You can
You can
play with
be
goats.
close. Yes, you can play
You
with
can
goats.
cuddle with a cow, and you
Yep.
can be a bird.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, this is
All
cool. I'm
within a
liking this.
Yeah, and all within like a half an hour of each other. So it's
Yeah,
pretty neat. Yeah.
see? But if you do the bison experience first, you may not do the rest.
Save it for the end, Save it for the end.
Because it will be.
And they have a bar and restaurant right there too. So you can always skip the bison yoga and just have a good meal or something like that too.
Yeah, there it is. You could eat a bison.
Yeah, if you want. Depending upon your
Try do a whole
preference.
one if you can, so we can watch and see if you can really eat a whole bison. But
that would probably be problematic. Yeah.
Well, speaking of food, I have a question.
Yeah.
So upstate New York, I heard that this is a thing. So is this true that you take potatoes, boiled potatoes, and stick them in melted butter? Is this a thing?
Salt potatoes is what you're talking about, I think.
Okay.
Salt potatoes are a big regional thing. Yeah. You basically boil them in a bucket of salt. You boil them in a pot with a ton of salt in there. And then when you get done, you serve them. They're small little, I don't know, little white or red potatoes, and you boil them for a while in the salt. They absorb the salt. And then when you serve them, you put butter on them and serve them that way. They're absolutely fabulous. There are a lot
I'm
of
gonna make them
regional
tonight.
dishes. Yeah, they're great.
I'm gonna try that because we like salt. We like potatoes. I've got the little potatoes.
Yeah.
So
you can probably look up salt potatoes.
Okay.
And it's probably got a recipe online, but it's very regional, the kind of the western part of New York State. It's a very popular.
It must
food.
use real butter, I bet.
Yep, real butter's good.
No cheese on it?
You can put whatever you want on it,
I want cheese on it. Like I want cheese on everything.
Sure.
Like I was vegan once, but that didn't work out because of the cheese.
Cheese is a good thing.
I can't leave it out.
We have a lot of local dairy farms that make cheese. So this is another thing. If you come here, you can go get cheese made right here, fresh, locally made. It's delicious. Yeah. Now you're getting hungry.
And I know. And then you can take the cheese, take it to the bison farm.
You can't,
get your wine.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
See, but it's a good thing you have all these outdoor activities because it sounds like your region, Steuben County, everyone, could get you in trouble. Like you could just eat and drink your way around, but you need to balance somehow.
I'd recommend that. Yes.
Yeah.
You could certainly do it because there are a lot of really great restaurants and a lot of really great wineries, breweries, craft. There are 5 craft distilleries right around the Hammondsport area around Keuka Lake. So if you like, gin or bourbon or, vodka, cocktails, if you like, or mocktails, if you like mocktails, because you're not into drinking, they have great mocktails too. So it's, an opportunity to really, a lot of local craft food and beverage. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So our outdoor show makes sure that you get rewards for all your hard work. So there's water trails, there's cycling trails, there's hiking trails, mountain biking trails, there's fishing, there's gliding, or is it gliding or sailing? Yeah.
It's gliding. Yep.
Gliding.
Yep.
You can be a bird. You can hug sheep, alpacas, goats, maybe a bison if you
can see the bison. You can stay in your car and do a tour of the ranch.
And you might see a porcupine.
You very well might. Yeah. Or maybe a turtle.
Oh yeah, but don't do yoga with a porcupine. That one I know not to do. That's a no-no.
Yeah,
that's a no-no. And lots of birding and
Yep.
waterfalls. So this is a really cool, I love, like you were saying about it being, this regional kind of road trip thing where people can just visit something, they're going on a road trip across country or around the region to do these different activities, and you can just add on to it. But I love this Finger Lakes trail, this 1,000-mile trail. To me sounds like a nice challenge for somebody. I didn't say for me, but I'll do bits and pieces of it, but not the whole 1,000 miles. But I have friends who do stuff like that, and I cheer them on and make sure they have pizza and beer
when they're done,
when they're ready. And and I share.
That's nice. When they emerge, when they come out and they need a little refreshment. Yeah.
I make sure they get M&Ms too.
Yeah. Good.
That's all good friends carry M&Ms. Well, thank you, Dave. It is always a pleasure having you on the show. Nancy and I've got to get our butts out to your area. It's just every time you come on, I'm like, oh, we got to go. This is ridiculous, because it sounds like too much fun. And all the travel writers from IFWTWA who have been on the show, every time they're on, I'm like, Dave, you live in a very beautiful area, and delicious.
Delicious. Yeah. Yep.
Delicious and beautiful. Everyone, exploresteuben.com is the website. And then if you are in the world of travel and tourism or travel writing or writing as an author, go to IFWTWA.org and learn more about the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. See? Say that 10 times while you're jogging a trail. Maybe not. All right. Thanks so much, Dave. You take good care. Have a good summer.
Yeah, you too as well. And tell Joy I said hi.
I will.
Right.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show, featuring members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We encourage you to visit their website. We say IFWTWA, which is IFWTWA.org. You can also follow us at bigblendradio.com. Happy travels, everyone.